Orient Cement, and let's talk a little bit more about the quarter gone by with Mr. Deepak Khetrapal, who's Managing Director and CEO. Thanks so much for joining in, and it seems like there was profitability this time, but your volume growth has been a bit disappointing. The key question now is, will we see your volume growth bounce back in Q4?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your forum. As you said, the volumes have looked a little low for our company in this quarter. But I don't believe this is out of line with the industry. If you look at the data, the only official data which comes out from DPIIT, which actually had said the YTD growth still in the first half was 11.49%. End of December, that total YTD growth is down to 9% as per DPIIT data. So while we can say, and we are disappointed, we would have like to do better, but we can't buck the industry trends. That's number one thing that I would like to mention here. Second important point also is the fact that the certain markets in which we operate, Telangana being one of them, Madhya Pradesh, we are in Maharashtra, these are our major states. And most of our markets went through elections in this particular quarter, which obviously impacted these states more than the other states where there were no elections. So there'll be some regional disparity. But disappointed as we are, but I think we are still in line with the industry, and especially in our markets, I don't think we have lost any market share. That's point number one. More importantly, despite this slowness in demand, if you see the gain that we made in our selling price realization per ton, we are in our markets now netting very close to 5,500 rupees a ton, which is a very good price to have in the markets that we operate in. So profitability definitely has looked better. Possibly we could have booked a little more volume by going low on prices, which is not the strategy that we follow in this company. So that's the overall scenario. As far as growth bouncing back is concerned, again, I must mention, although our ambitions are very much on, and we would like to do more than 1.8 million tons in this quarter, but it will be governed by how the demand in the market is. The fact of the matter is January is over, and our impression, although there's no official data available, but our impression is that the entire industry in the month of January actually has suffered a degrowth Y-on-Y, that is over January last year. So while we are trying to push as much as we can, but we perhaps will be impacted by the overall industry demand. But one thing we would certainly keep doing is we would not give up our strategy of improving price realization and not throwing volumes at lower prices.
Sure. The other thing I also wanted to understand, Deepak, was the fact that, at the current run rate, you've given your volume guidance of about 6.3 to 6.5 million tons, right, for FY24. That looks a little difficult. Would you want to lower your volume guidance at all?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Given where we ended up at the end of Q3, at just about 4.4 million tons now, I think even if we end up doing 1.8 million tons plus, we'll still be a bit under 6.3 that we had expected to do as a minimum. Somewhere around 6.2 something is still feasible. That's what we would like to push for. But yes, the 6.3 to 6.5, that band we may miss marginally by maybe being a little bit on the lower side.
Okay, fair enough. And also give us a sense then in terms of your spreads, because they have risen a solid 36% sequentially, despite the increase in raw material prices and fixed costs. So what's the outlook then on petcoke, fuel costs, etc.? And what does this spell out for your spreads?
In terms of petcoke procurement, we already have procured enough petcoke to last us during this quarter till about the third week of March. So we believe our petcoke prices will remain flat, but we do expect that our overall power and fuel costs should look a little bit better, purely because of major investment in waste heat recovery system and the rest of the solar power that we are sourcing out. That has been giving us increasing, I would say, competitiveness in terms of costs. So we do believe our overall cost at best will remain benign, maybe marginally lower. And at the same time, our alternate fuels that we keep doing more and more of, that will be another, I would say, support that we will use to not let the costs go up further. If the prices stay stable, we should be able to improve our margins by a few points, certainly.
Fair enough. And what about your capex then? How much will that help your overall capacity increase?
Well, the capex plans are fairly ambitious. We have been talking about that for a few quarters, but the the statutory regulatory approvals that we have been struggling with, they seem to have moved rather well in the last quarter. Just to brief you up, and then I'll give you what's likely to for our plant in Karnataka, where we have actually announced a brownfield expansion plan, which obviously is going to add 3 million tons additional capacity at our Karnataka plant, for which the public hearing, which is a precursor to the environmental approvals, is actually scheduled on 17th of February, just about under 2 weeks now. Once we get that, then we move quickly in a few weeks to get the environment clearance, and then we can talk about the actual expansion of capacity in Karnataka plant, 3 million tons. Total cost will be about 1,500, 1,600 crores there. So 3 million tons for that. Second expansion plan that we had been waiting for, which was at our Telangana plant. There we have actually said that we needed a split grinding unit somewhere around Madhya Pradesh. Before that, we were not wanting to add capacity to Telangana. The good news is that very recently we have made significant progress actually from Madhya Pradesh state government's electricity generation company. We have received the acceptance of our request. There are some minor things to be negotiated and sorted out. So we have firmed up a site where we'll put up the split grinding unit, which will support our expansion in Telangana as well. So, and that total investment there is going to be a little over 2,000 crores, adding another 3 million tons to our capacity. So it's phased. Karnataka will hopefully start first and soon. Telangana, as soon as we get the environment clearance now for this split grinding unit in Madhya Pradesh, and that will follow maybe in a few quarters.
I also wanted to talk about, Deepak, was also realizations, because they've seen an uptick of about 7% in the quarter gone by. But cement prices ever since have been declining, right, since the month of November. Is the worst when it comes to the price decline, you think, behind us?
Well, price decline in cement industry, it's very brave for anybody to say that the worst is behind us because the prices move so dynamically. Our companies actually, I would say, a little bit of safety that we play against the market prices. And even in the Q3, if you see, we've gained despite the fact that about 7 weeks in Q3, prices actually came down. So our benefit comes from the fact that we have actually followed a slightly differentiated strategy where we have a rich portfolio of brands in cement. It's very, very difficult for people to relate to what I'm saying, but we have 3 premium brands in our portfolio. And we are clocking more and more volumes in our premium brands, which help us to define the trend of falling cement prices in the market. Market prices are on the lower trajectory. They are trending lower. But we are trying to push our premium products more so that we don't have as much of an impact of price falls as perhaps the other players in the industry might report.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining in with that take. All right, that's the management of Orient Cement talking about volumes of 6.2 million tons in FY24, and they will continue to work on improving their realizations.